Amazing. Hi, so I'm with CFINE, Community Growing. We were working closely with Adam for this climate cafe. Sure. Is that better? Okay, right. Let me know if you can't hear me or anything. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Dunn, and myself, along with Lucy Edwards, lead the community growing project at CFINE here in Aberdeen. CFINE is a charity, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about that as we go on. Just before I move forward, I just want to put a face to a name. If you don't already know, would you mind just giving a wave, Lucy? So that's my colleague Lucy there. So our job in Aberdeen is to support community-led gardening projects to flourish. Just to start off with a little bit more about CFINE. CFINE have a range of services, including services that cover these areas of well-being, food access, improving finances, education, inclusion and development. You can see, if you look at the diagram, that there is a huge range of stuff that CFINE does. Food provision is really at the core of what we do, but from there, services have really grown. As well as these beneficiary services, there for anybody who could benefit from them, we also have a social enterprise side of things, and we sell fruit and veg, and things like that go back to the budget for our charity's work. The community growing projects have existed for the past few years, and the funding to make that possible comes currently from the Scottish Government Investing in Communities Fund and the Communities Mental Health and Wellbeing Fund. Those are the two core funds that actually make that work possible at the moment, but there's also a dozen or so smaller funds that we tap into over the months for specific projects as well. And none of this funding is necessarily guaranteed as a continued thing, but it's what is allowing that to be possible right now. So the community growing side of things can really be narrowed down to three categories. Help to start your own community garden. So for folks who maybe have got a few people together and want to take over a green space and start to grow on it from scratch. That process can involve many things, including needing to find out who owns the land, needing to get permission to use it. Currently, we do have some policy on our side because the City Council, as with all councils in Scotland, have an obligation at the moment to reasonably support anybody to grow their own food, basically. I mean, that's what it is in writing, and whether or not they sort of make good on that is also up to the team who's working at the council, and then I think also up to folks maybe just saying, yeah, we really want to see this happen. So again, that's a little bit of what Lucy and I do, is just try and kind of like make use of that policy and make sure that it's made good on, really, because it's helpful that it's currently in place. And then from that place, then if you're starting your own community garden, you might be looking at making a committee and that sort of thing. I have brought along some flowchart type documents which I've put out on the table that just show a step-by-step, simple terms how to start your own community garden. So it just gives an idea of all the things that you might want to think about. And that's that flowchart was actually something that I helped to create along with Bob Donald from One Seed Forward a few years ago as part of the Keep Growing Aberdeen project. Training courses have become quite a big part of what we offer. Training in the garden or growing food indoors has been another recent one. I'll go into those a bit later as well, and volunteer support as well. And I've put up a QR code here, and that takes you to the community growing webpage on the CFINE website, if you want to follow that link. So I've already said a little bit about this. If you want help starting a community garden project or developing an existing project, we offer support as much as we can. With 2 of us on the community growing team at CFINE, it's also dependent on capacity, but Lucy and I are both like really quite enthusiastic people. If you come to us with an idea, we're going to want to do whatever we can to kind of try and help make that happen. The training courses we're currently offering are along with partner organizations as well. So one that we're doing is growing employability skills, and that's been a sort of level 1 employability course for people who want to come and get something for their CV, build up their self-confidence and their self-esteem, and get a sense of routine with it as well. In fact, there's a couple of people here today who've tutored those courses before. So if you're keen, then just ask later, and we can get you chatting to them as well. Quite recently, we started delivering a course called Grow Food Indoors, which the second course is just finished. There's no current plans to do more of them, but it's proved a very popular thing, especially over the colder months, for people wanting to learn more about growing food indoors. That one was especially directed maybe towards people who don't have access to green space, and we delivered that one in collaboration with One Seed Forward, who's most of you probably know, a charity that works within Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire with community growing and with garden schools. And the other one we're currently running is called Growing for Wellbeing, and that's in collaboration with Mindstore. Mindstore is a small mental health charity in Aberdeen. One of the reasons we really wanted to start delivering training courses was because, well, there's many reasons, but one of them was to try and help address a need. So a lot of the community gardens actually, there's lots of ebbs and flows, as you can imagine, because usually they're voluntary groups, and sometimes there's going to be a lot more volunteers coming through than others. And alongside that, the people that we want coming to our gardens. So part of Lucy and I's remit, because we work for CFINE, and the biggest proportion of our service users at CFINE are from low-income households. And we were finding that just because a community garden exists and that it's open to the public, it doesn't necessarily mean that people will come or people will recognize that it's something for them. So by running these courses and by promoting them through people who use our services at CFINE and also people who use other services within the city, such as Alcohol and Drugs Action and other mental health services, we've been finding that we get more people coming to the gardens and regularly coming. So it's just a little bit of getting more people along and also improving the accessibility of the gardens as well. So another thing that we do is volunteer support. Now, every community garden is its own voluntary organisation of some kind, whether or not it's a constituted group or a fairly informal committee. So ultimately, it's up to them to get their volunteers in and to promote themselves. But that's something that we're offering is, you know, do you want a bit of an extra hand with that? Do you want to maybe get some help drafting volunteer roles? Or if there's people out there who want to volunteer and they're looking for a garden, how can we help connect those things up? So that's a big part of what we do as well. And here, I've just written some reasons why people might want to volunteer in a community garden, including all those ones written there, would definitely be developing skills as well, and developing gardening skills. So, I mean, it's really, any individual can find their nearest community garden, but if anybody wants some support to find their nearest community garden, then that's also what we're here for. We do have access to a Google map. It's publicly accessible. You can scan this QR code that I've got up if you want to go directly to that Google map showing all the community gardens in Aberdeen. It ostensibly shows all the community gardens in Aberdeen. However, it does need a bit of an update. There's a couple that are out of date there. Yeah, do you want me to move this so they can... Shall I just minimize it? Are you sure? Mm-hmm. There we go. It's easier. The map was originally created by a previous colleague at CFINE, along with someone who worked at the city council. And we were just saying today we'll need to get it updated, because there's a couple there that aren't so active anymore, and there's also a couple that are active that aren't really on here. So, but it gives you a good overview. And again, you know, do get in touch with us if you've got any questions about that. We try and keep as up to date as possible about what is going on with community gardens in Aberdeen, but we won't always know either, which is totally fine, because if there's a garden out there who's doing their own thing and it's working well, then that's ideal, you know. So just to finish up here, so I've written down a call to action, aka, oops, oh gosh, what can I do? If you're asking yourself, what can I do? Or if you know some people, or you work with some people who might be thinking, what can I do? Then here's some options currently. As well as everything I've mentioned, we have a few things upcoming which are quite exciting. We have a community growing takeover of the Bonaccord shopping centre. The QR code I've got for this one takes you to some more information about that, and volunteer sign up for that as well. And we're looking for volunteers to help build the growing structure for that, and also volunteers to help invigilate it as well. But it should be happening on the 24th till the 29th of June, or the 28th of June, the Monday to Friday of that week anyway. We're going to have a big growing structure in the centre of the Bonaccord city centre, just hoping to raise visibility of community growing and getting people involved, and we'll have flyers in there. And if you are a community garden and you want to be involved in this, please link up with us. And also, it would be a really nice opportunity, hopefully, for a central point for people to then find out what else is going on in the city. So we're hoping to be able to share some information in there, a bit like an information hub for community gardens in Aberdeen for the week, for people to find out more. And I've got a QR code there as well for the Growing for Wellbeing course, and that is for the sign up registration form for that course. I'm pretty sure Lucy will probably talk a bit more about the one I've written there, Volunteer Day Snug, because that's to do with the Aberdeen Community Growing Network. But that's coming up this weekend, I think. So I thought I'd put that in there just to let people know, because all hands on deck is always good. And then we've got another interesting project coming up, Mount Hooley Roundabout, with the Grow Food Indoors courses that we've been working with. We've been taking them at the end of the course for a walk about the George Street area, because it is defined as a priority area in Aberdeen, so as such comes under a remit to do with our CFINE work. But at the same time, there is a recent community consultation in the George Street Master Plan, which suggests that people are keen to see more green space there. Positive recent news is that we have found out that we've definitely got permission to plant some sort of orchard, fruit bush type edible area on the Mount Hooley roundabout. And there's a few folks who've been sort of keen to dip their toe in and try that out and maybe just plant some stuff. So we're developing that at the moment as well, and we're keen for people to be involved, especially people who live in the George Street area, because as much as there was that green space interest, which was said in the consultation, there's also there's that connection where actually getting then the people involved in the project is a different thing entirely almost. And in some ways, you know, fair enough, because there's a hope that there'll be a little bit of impetus from the outside, and it turned out there wasn't actually, after doing the whole consultation, it turned out there wasn't actually the budget from the council to then make any of it happen. So it's a little bit of a uphill struggle, but we are kind of hoping to respond to that ask for green space and just see if we can support that in any way. And the last thing I've written there is just volunteers. So all the community gardens are happy for new volunteers to join, and so please do join, please do share the volunteering opportunities with your organizations and your friends, your colleagues, that sort of thing. Feel free to contact us. Those are our contact details there, Rebecca and Lucy, and we're happy to hear from you.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. We stop recording.